I heard about, what, 30% of you? Who's happy to be here? There we go. Yes. Sorry, it's a little bit too loud, but that's a good thing. So how many of you have healthy goals for 2019? So what, 45%? 20%? All right. How many of you have healthy goals that you'd love to crush this year and really feel good in your life? Awesome. Who's grateful to be here? Amazing. So what I want you to do is just for a minute, if you have coffee, just make sure you don't spill it on yourself. It's not a McDonald's. There's no lawsuits allowed. But we're just going to bounce a little bit, right? Who does any priming in the morning when they get up? Just moving, like twisting. Okay, sure. It's good. So just bounce. Just shake it up a little bit. Who likes to dance? Yeah? So like 10%, right? Is that 10%, Jess? Jess? I think the group wants to bounce with us a little bit and shake it up a little. Who wants to shake it up? Let's do this. Come on. So just shake. Just shake. Just don't hit anybody beside you, right? Because again, that's liability. So thank you so much. Have a seat and welcome. Sorry that the start was a little delayed. It was all my fault. Okay? Actually, no, it was Jessica's fault. So obviously, Devin is one of the cutest kids on the poster of a global leader in health and functional medicine. So welcome. We're going to be doing how to make 2019 the healthiest and happiest year ever. Who wants to be healthier this year? Who wants to be happier? Who's already taking actions, thinking a little differently, right? How was 2018? Did you guys do okay? Did you make some changes? Yeah? Do you feel like there's more in the tank though? Something to learn, something to apply? I'm talking to you, yeah? So intensely, like it's like Stephen King, like, hey, what's going on? So thank you for coming. I want to bring up our mentor, our friend, our confidant, our commander, you name it. Sachin's there leading the way like a snowplow on a stormy night. And all of you have an opportunity too to be a snowplow, right? Because there's a lot of people out there that need this information. So thank you for making it our first sellout crowd. We're doing a repeat next week, and no, you're not invited. Just joking, you can. We'll do some standing room. So let's get Sachin on up here. And how many of you... Perfect. Thank you. How many of you have been following Sachin for 1 year? 2 years? 3 years? 4 years? Okay. So we have some veterans in the crowd. Perfect. So what we're going to go through today is really giving you some easy to apply, accessible info. You don't need to go out to Fitness Depot and put a bunch of things in your credit card. These are things you can do now, right? One thought, one action, how do you feel? And you continue to move in that direction. If it works, right, and learn, we want to apply it. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. So Sachin, it's all yours, brother. So let's do this.
Let's give Andrew a big thank you applause for getting us started. Is everyone comfortable? All right, it's about to get uncomfortable. Okay, let me just get mic'd up. Give me 1 second. Okay, so my commitment for each and every one of you as being part of a member of our Facebook community, our physical community, our spiritual community, is to really help each and every one of you live the healthiest life possible. Now, what you're going to learn today is going to be transformational. Some of the stuff you've already heard, and that's okay because it's going to reinforce what you've heard. Some of the stuff is going to be new. What I want you to do is I want you to meet yourself where you are. Okay? Be kind to yourself, be loving towards yourself, and don't try to change everything overnight because it can become very overwhelming. Okay, I'm 40 years old, and the things that I've been applying for the last 5 to 10 years. I wish I had known about this earlier. I might still have some hair left. Okay, So no promises, but what you're going to learn today is going to be transformational for you, should you allow it to be. Okay? What we believe is that health is in your hands. Health starts in your home. It doesn't start in the hospital. Okay? And that's what the system wants you to think. Okay, I'm going to ruffle some feathers today, but in your honor. Okay? We're going to switch some paradigms up. And some of the paradigms that many of us are operating out of, especially the people that are not here, are drastically ruining their lives. But here's the thing, and this is kind of scary when you think about it, but the greatest threat to our current healthcare system is your health. Think about that for a second. The greatest threat to our healthcare system is your health. The greatest threat to our economy is your health. So if every single person, if every single Canadian woke up healthy, knew how to take care of themselves, and didn't need the system as much as we do, our economy would crumble. So who's invested in you being healthy? Nobody. You got to be invested in you being healthy. Everyone else is invested in you being sick. Okay? I want you to go home and look at your stock portfolio. Are you invested in the pharmaceutical industry? Because guess what you're invested in? You're invested in your own illness. You're invested in other people's illness. When the population gets sicker, you make more money. How sick is that? That's the sickest thing I've ever heard of. Okay, so I don't invest in the stock market. I invest in myself. I invest in my family. I invest in my home to create an environment of healing and happiness. Okay? One thing I've learned is you can buy other people's time. You can pay for my time. You can pay for my staff's time, but you can't buy health. Okay, and if you could, nobody would be able to afford it, because what's your health worth? It's worth more money. It's worth more than the money that you have. Let's put it that way. Okay, so health is truly priceless. So our mission, which is kind of counterintuitive when you think about it from a business standpoint, I want to keep each and every one of you out of my office. I want to keep your families out of my office. I want to keep the people that you love out of my office. I want to keep that phone from ringing. You can put them on speakerphone. They probably need to hear this. All right, there. Where are you at? Lana, where are you at? She's going to change your life, right? Tell them. Text them back and say, I'm changing my life. I'm busy right now. So let's make 2019 and beyond the healthiest and happiest ever. But in order for us to do that, you've got to know, we've got to put all the cards on the table. We can't sugarcoat and candy coat things. Okay? So I'm looking at each and every one of you, and I want to turn you into a member of our army. Is everyone okay with that? Raise your hands if you are. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build an army. I'm not trying to flood my practice with patients. Certainly some of you here need help and you need support, and you're not going to be able to do it on your own, but a lot of you can do it on your own. Okay, and we're going to show you the steps that you need to take so that you can get to that point where you can say, you know, I've tried everything and now I need help. Is that fair? Okay. A few years ago, I actually understood the healthcare problem. The healthcare problem isn't that we don't have enough doctors. That's what the healthcare system wants you to think. They want you to think, we don't have enough money. We don't have enough doctors. Actually, what we don't have enough of is people that know how to take care of themselves. That's what we're missing. Do you think it's by accident that you don't learn anything about health in school? Do you think it's by accident you don't learn anything about finances in school? Do you think it's by accident you don't learn anything about how to grow your own food and do anything that has to do with nature in school? Do you think that's by accident? Do you think they purposely exclude those things or accidentally exclude those things? It's all by design. Okay, so every system, including our healthcare system, people say the healthcare system is broken. The healthcare system is fixed. It's fixed to screw you over. There isn't a single thing in that system where you could go to and actually get healthier. Name one drug that makes you healthier. Name one surgery that makes you healthier. Name a healthy person going into the hospital and doing something in that hospital that can make them healthier. Every intervention, from the food to the drugs to the procedures to the compassion, all of those things would make a healthy person sick. So how can those things make a sick person healthy? Yes, it can save your life, and I'm grateful that we have a system that does that for us, but it doesn't make you healthy. So it's delusional for us to think that way. Does anyone disagree with that? Does anyone know anyone who went to the hospital and got healthier? I have yet to meet somebody. Okay, so we're all on the same page here. So we believe in our practice, and I hope that you believe this too, is that the doctor of the future is the patient. It's you. You know, there's a change in the shift of information. You know, before, when many of us were growing up, you know, you could only get the information that doctors could get from what? Going to school and investing $250,000 and devoting 8 years of your life. That's the only way you could get this information. Now, how can you get this information? We just go onto your phone, right? So the information has been decentralized and the information has been democratized, which means that if you know how to look at this information carefully and you can use a little bit of common sense and you can bounce ideas off people, guess what? You can take care of yourself, right? There's never been an easier time to take care of yourself than now. Okay, and while everyone else is getting sicker around you, you're going to have the tools today to actually get healthier. But I'm not only going to give you tools to get healthier, but I'm going to give you tools on how you can keep people around you healthier. Okay, again, because I understand the problem. The problem is people don't have this information. So I actually gave a similar I've never given this presentation today before, but I spoke at the University of Ottawa. And when they invited me, I was like, do you know what I'm going to talk about? Because I'm not going to be promoting medical school to people. So, but it was a standing room only. Like the whole crowd, it was like amazing. It was an amazing presentation. And it was all about this, how you are the doctor of the future. Okay. So instead of talking about theory, I'm going to give you practical steps today. Everyone okay with that? Yeah. Okay, great. So a couple of things. I know there's a lot of people here, but I want to know why you're here. Nobody came for the free coffee because we didn't advertise that. But why are you guys here? And there's no free lunch in case you're wondering. Anyone want to shout out why you're here?
For a better tomorrow.
For a better tomorrow? How about a better today?
Of course.
All right. Anyone else? Anything specific that you're here for? So autoimmunity, okay. About 60 million North Americans have autoimmunity, not by accident, by design. Anyone else? More energy. Who wants more energy? Raise your hands. And those that didn't raise their hands probably need more energy, right? They're too tired to raise their hands. I mean, you know, what breaks my heart is the sickest people couldn't be here today. Because they woke up and they're like, shit, I'm just going to go back to sleep. Right? So you're the healthiest of those people. Right? And the most motivated and the most inspired of those people. So you had enough energy and commitment to show up. Right? So one of the first things that's required when it comes to your health is a commitment. Because you could have been a million other places. Raise your hands if you could have been somewhere else. If I wasn't doing this event, you'd be somewhere else, right? Shopping, right? For healthy food, of course. So you could have been somewhere else, and you're here. So more energy. What else? Yes?
I want to empower myself with more information so I can continue my growth.
Okay, so more info. Great. And more growth, right? You can tell I'm not a teacher from the way I write. Anyone else? Yes, Wahid. Better mindset. Great. We're going to talk about that too. Leslie?
Make my home healthier.
Make your home healthier. Good. So healthy home. We're going to talk about all of those things. Okay. So no matter what condition you're dealing with, whatever diagnosis you have, at our office, we really don't care about the diagnosis. We care about you because there's more to you than a label. Would you agree? Right? If all of you in here had diabetes, all of you would have developed it differently. You would have different vocations. You would have different home environments. You would have different relationships. You would have so many unique variables that would contribute to that diagnosis. But here's the thing. You can never develop any diagnosis in isolation. So somebody with diabetes never just has diabetes. Okay? I saw a poster. All these people want to listen in. So I saw this poster at the hospital, and it said that the hospital was looking for healthy diabetics for a study. Has anyone met a healthy diabetic? Right? Of course they want to experiment on sick people because these are disposable people in this system. Okay, the people that get experimented on in our society, in our medical system, are the elderly, the sick, and the vulnerable, and children who can't speak for themselves. Okay, let that sink in for a minute. All right, I want to show this video. Give me 1 second, because this comes from the Canadian Heart and Stroke Foundation. Let's see if we can get the audio to work here.
What will your last 10 years look like? Will you be quick enough for a game of tag with your grandchild? Strong enough to embrace every moment? Will you grow old with vitality? Or get old with disease? It's time to decide. The average Canadian will spend their last 10 years in sickness. Change your future at makehealthlast.ca.
What was that website? Make Health Last. Do you see? So the English language, and this is some of the things I'm going to teach you, is the English language is a language of slaves. Has anyone here taught anyone else English? Your kids maybe, you taught them how to read. Isn't it a ridiculous language?
Yes.
Different words have different same sound, right? Same word has a different spelling, a different meaning. Right? So we are actually manipulated by the words that are used. So I want you to read every sign, every advertisement, I want you to read it with a different set of eyes. So when it says make health last, what is the subconscious message saying? Make health last. Make it your last priority. So what do people do? When it comes to their health, people are always making it last. Not you guys and gals. Right? We feel, oh, it's healthy to be expensive. Well, I guarantee you it's more expensive to be sick. If you can't afford to be healthy, there's no way on earth you can afford to be sick. Because that costs way more money. And healthy people don't complain about the cost of being healthy. I've never once complained about the cost of healthy food. Ever. It's sick people that do that. Because sick people make sick choices. You can't make healthy decisions with an unhealthy mind, can you? So I saw this and I'm like, man, these sneaky bastards, right? I saw what they did, right? Because I never look at anything for face value. So I went on GoDaddy, because that's one of my part-time jobs, is to buy website domains. I'm like, I wonder who owns Make Health First? And guess who owns it? I do. Because nobody else bought it. Can you believe that? In all the history of all the websites in the entire cosmos, nobody bought Make Health First. So if you go to makehealthfirst.com, it goes to my website now, or our website, okay? So if you don't own your health, somebody else will own your disease, okay? Right now, they're building nursing homes for you. That's what they're doing. Right now, they're building hospital beds for you because they're so sure with the marketing that they're doing, with the propaganda, with the lies, with the lack of education, with the deceitfulness in the messaging, that you're not going to know how to take care of yourself. And they're going to do whatever they can to ensure that, because that ensures that we have an economy. Because remember, your health destroys our economy. Your health destroys our system. So a little bit about me. There's my beautiful son and my wife, Deepa, who's in the back there. I'm trained as a chiropractor. I never thought I'd be doing what I do today. Okay, so 14 years ago, I graduated from chiropractic school. I practiced in a sports-based clinic. I thought I had my dream job. I was working with Olympic athletes, elite athletes, professional athletes. I would have athletes flying in from all over the world coming to see me and my partner at my clinic. So I thought I had my dream job. And then I was on the news. So they did a story about us and our practice on elbow pain. And they actually offered the news story to my boss, but she froze on live television prior to that, just a few months prior to that. And so she's like, Patel, you do it. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And so I did. And as a result of being on the news, we had all these people calling in, like literally 80 people called in and made appointments. But as these people started coming in, guess what? None of them had elbow pain. One person, except one person. And her elbow pain was actually caused by rheumatoid arthritis. So at the time, I didn't have the training or the knowledge or the skill set to help any of these people. They had fibromyalgia, they had chronic fatigue, they had digestive issues. I had one guy, I still remember, he was taking 16 Tylenol per day for his migraine headaches. Okay, under his doctor's recommendations for the last 10 years. So we did the math, and it was like a pile like this high of Tylenol that he's taken. He was 50, he looked like he was 80. So here's what I realized. I realized, because I'm an honest guy, I can't help these people. But what I also realized in that revelation I had was that neither can their doctors. Nobody can help these people. So they're just desperately bouncing around from doctor to doctor trying to find answers. But I believe that things happen for a reason. Raise your hands if you think things happen for a reason. All right? It's not by coincidence you're here. Every decision you've ever made in your entire life has brought you here today. Right? So it's not by fluke. Okay? So you're here for a divine reason. And so I thought, okay, this happened for a reason. So I started studying more. I went back to school and I got a training designation in functional medicine. Has anyone here heard of functional medicine? Okay. When I asked this question 5 years ago, nobody would raise their hands. Okay. So to me, that's a huge accomplishment, just that the awareness is getting out that people know this. So we're going to talk a little bit about functional medicine. But then I took it a layer further and I said, well, when people come in to see me as a functional medicine practitioner, there's things that they should have been doing many, many years prior to coming to see us that probably would have prevented them from coming to see us. So then it became my mission to keep people out of our office, okay, and help those that actually need the help, that are doing the things that they should be doing, so that they're not paying us all this money to tell them to go to bed early, right, or to do some really, really basic things, okay. When they're coming to us, they're coming to us with real clinical, concerns that we can address for them. So now I don't see patients anymore, lucky for you guys. And what I now do is I train about 150 doctors. So I train doctors all over the world, teaching them how to do exactly what we're doing today in their communities, teaching them how to keep their communities healthy and vibrant and healthy so that they don't need their services. So I'm trying to create a whole new model of healthcare. We've done it in our practice. We have an amazing team that takes amazing care of our patients. Some of you are patients in our practice. And we've basically taken the system and done the exact opposite of what it does. So instead of giving people drugs, we help people get off drugs. My wife's a pharmacist and she helps with that. Okay? Instead of taking hope away from people, we empower people. How many of you have ever heard somebody say, oh, it's your genetics or it's your age, that's why you're feeling this way? Okay? Well, how much power does it give you? Pretty much zero. Right? So we love empowering people. Do your doctors ever talk to you about diet and nutrition? Well, good. Because they shouldn't, because they don't have any training in it. Right? So, it's never been easier, and I'll probably get in trouble. I'm sure somebody online is going to get mad at me for saying this, but I'm going to say it anyways. It's never been easier to be healthier. Just go to your doctor, ask them all the questions you have, write down everything they say with copious notes, and do the exact opposite. Any doctors here? No? That's okay. You know why? Because I train medical doctors. I train medical doctors, naturopaths, acupuncturists, chiropractors from all over the world, but people who get it, people who are awake, right? And, I'm going to try and stay on time today, which is a rare occasion for me. Otherwise, I can go off on many tangents. But here's what we're going to learn today. Today, we're going to learn a lot, okay? So get your notepads ready. But I want you to kind of understand this, that today you will take 23,000 breaths, whether you like it or not. Your heart will beat over 100,000 times, okay? You have 70 trillion cells in your body that are right now simultaneously coordinating the function of 1 septillion processes in your body. So this is happening now, okay? This is how many biological processes, give or take a couple, are happening inside of you. So you are an amazing miracle of the cosmos, okay? Your cells are the highest form of known intelligence in the entire universe. If we found a single cell from any one of you in outer space, it would be the greatest discovery of mankind. And you're in possession of 70 trillion of these cells. They're simultaneously coordinating function 24/7, whether you like it or not, whether you have gratitude or not, whether you eat healthy or not, these cells are coordinating their function. So you are the crown jewel of the universe. There's no higher form of intelligence than you. Okay? So if all this talk does is inspire you, then I've done my job. If you make one healthier decision after today, I've done my job, and I think we're going to do that. What I want you to do is I want you to listen for two different people today. Okay, so when you're taking notes today, don't just take notes for yourself and say, oh, I'm going to remember that. Take notes for somebody else. Okay, so I want you to think about someone you really love and care about. And I want you to take notes for that person so that you can share what you learned today. And I want you to take notes for your future self. Okay, can you do that? Can you commit to that? Okay, so we can double, triple, quadruple the impact of today's event just by having you teach somebody something that you learned today. Okay? Now, you know, the pharmaceutical industry spends more money on marketing than they do on research and development. Because they know that if they can get up here, then they can do anything they want. So if we can convince people that they can't fix themselves, if we can convince people it's their genetics, if we can convince people that, you know, it's their age, then guess what? You're at the mercy of the healthcare industry. What I believe is that as parents, there is nothing more powerful than marketing except parenting. So it's not about what you say, it's about what you show. You know, there's a story with Gandhi that always strikes a chord with people, and I'm going to share it really quickly. So there was a young mother and her son was eating lots and lots of sugar, okay, because sugar is highly addictive. And so she walked miles and miles to go see Gandhi, and you know, she said, Gandhi, can you please tell my son to stop eating sugar? And he said, okay, come back in 2 weeks, and I will do just that. So they walked all the way back home, came all the way back, and stood in line again to see him. And as soon as she said, hey, can you tell him to stop eating sugar? He looked at the boy and said, son, I want you to stop eating sugar. The boy said, okay, I'll never eat it again. And the mom looks at Gandhi and says, why didn't you just say that 2 weeks ago when we came? And he said, 2 weeks ago, I was eating sugar. Okay, so it's not about what you tell people to do. It's about what you show them to do, right? There's a reason our office is called Living Proof. It's not called I read about it in a book Institute, right? It's called the Living Proof Institute, right? Because everyone back there is a role model for you. Everyone back there is living the things we're going to talk about today. Everyone on our team was once a patient before they became part of our team. Because that's called integrity, right? You got to be proof. You have to be evidence that what you do is working. So I believe that being a parent, being a father, if you look at any of my biographies, the first thing I say is I'm a father first. Because if I'm not that first, I'm nothing. Okay, and I'm trying to create a better world for not just my son, but all of your children. Right? The way the system is set up now is that, you know, we're looking for cures for diseases. Right? It's kind of cute when you think about it, but until you break it down, what you realize is that we don't have cures for diseases yet. We don't have any cures for any diseases, do we? We're still searching. There's 144 different types of cancer. How many of them have we cured? Okay, and as diseases develop, you know, there's new diseases that are constantly developing because now we have, you know, we have Wi-Fi that's causing diseases. We have artificial LED lighting that's causing diseases. So there's all these new different contributing factors to diseases. So as our society evolves, the way we develop diseases is going to evolve as well. So we can't cure the stuff we have now. How are we going to cure the stuff as it continues to develop? So the key is not curing diseases, but living a life that doesn't create diseases. Okay? And guess what? Even if you need surgery, even if you need drugs, it works better when you're healthier. Right? So if somebody needs to be sliced and diced open, that's fine if they need it, but they're going to heal faster if they're healthier, aren't they? If they're eating healthier, if they're thinking healthier, if they're taking self-care, they're going to heal faster. Okay? And so, you know, the future that I'm trying to create, and I hope that you guys are trying to create, isn't one where people get sick and then we give them a cure. It's one where people don't get sick in the first place. Okay? Because to benefit from a cure for cancer, what do you have to begin with? You have to have cancer. And to create cancer, what do you have to have? You have to have an environment and an emotional state and a physiology that creates cancer, which means you weren't living your best life. So our focus is to help you live your best life, to delay the progression of these diseases if you even develop them at all. Who wants to die of old age? Raise your hands. You guys want to die of some sort of obscure, the rest of you want to die of some sort of obscure, yet to be named disease, right? No, nobody wants to, everyone wants to die of old age, naturally, right? But what did that video say? The average Canadian lives their last 10 years in chronic disease. But what does every Canadian have access to? The healthcare system. So they're even telling you in plain sight that the system doesn't work. You know, the average age of infirmary in other countries is 3 weeks. The average age of infirmary in developed countries is 10 years. People aren't just, you know, they say people are living longer, but people are also dying longer too. And we believe that nothing can fix your body better than it can fix itself. So, you know, how many of you used the GPS to get here today? So what did you need in order for the GPS to work? You needed your starting location, right? And an honest assessment of where you're starting. You couldn't put in some random location, right? Or a location that's somewhere down the road. You had to put in your existing location, or the GPS knows where that is, and you had to put the exact location where you want it to go in. Okay, so this is how our mind works. We have to know where we're starting, and we have to have an honest assessment of where we're starting, and we have to have an honest assessment of where we want to go. And then we also have to have a realistic timeline, right? So if the GPS says 35 minutes, maybe you can knock it down to 32, but you're not going to knock it down to 10 minutes. So most people that come to see us have a realistic goal, but they have an unrealistic timeline. And so guess what? They get frustrated. So they're like little kids. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And after 5 minutes, they give up. Right? We're trying to change the function of 70 trillion cells. That takes time, right? It takes 120 days to replace your blood. In 120 days, whether you like it or not, every red blood cell in your body will die and replace itself. Even during this conversation, millions of cells in your body will die and replace themselves. You're in a constant state of regenerating yourself. You're literally a hologram of a human being. You're dying and being reborn in every moment of your life. So every second is a chance to change the trajectory of your life. Okay? I can change your physiology. I can change the chemistry in your body by changing the words that I use. I can say nice things about you, and I can change the chemistry of every single cell in your body. Or I could expose you to nasty things, and I can change the chemistry of your body. Anyone here watch the news? Not anymore, right? This is an awake crowd, right? Everyone else is at home watching the news, right? Like my father-in-law, I love him to death, but whenever he gives me a ride, he usually drops me off at the airport. I travel quite a bit, and 680 News is on. So on my ride to the airport, actually before we even pull out of our community, I know who died, right? I know who's going to die. Like I know all these like nasty negative things about the world that I could do without. All right, so we don't have cable at home. We don't listen to the news, okay? And I don't encourage anyone to do that. Okay, so what we put in here matters just as much as what we put in here. Okay, so it's food for our body. What goes in here, what goes in here, all of that matters. Okay? All right, so what is health and vitality? Let's kind of create an operating definition for it. So I believe that being healthy requires healthy relationships. Okay, you got to hang around your people. I believe it includes a connection, a deep connection with nature, because you are part of nature. I believe that you have to have a level of spirituality and purpose in your life. You have to wake up with intention every single day, okay, with a bigger intention than just to go to work and earn money, right? You know, the average person died shortly after retirement because their only purpose in life was to make money and earn a living. They had no purpose outside of that, okay? So make sure you have purpose in your life. You want to eat whole foods. And I won't get into it too much today. We'll do that in some of our more advanced trainings. But food isn't just fats, carbohydrates, proteins, minerals, and vitamins, okay? It's not just that. There's so much more to it than that. It's information, it's software for your body. We also want to work on stress reduction. These are the most stressful times human beings have ever lived in. It's the best time to be alive, but it's also a stressful time to be alive. Okay, there's a lot of demands on people and families. We also have to have a good mindset, a healthy mindset. We have to take the right supplements, not the wrong supplements, or just, whatever is on sale, or whatever Oprah is featuring, or whatever Dr. Oz is featuring, right? We also have to have good communication. We find in our practice that a lot of stress, even in relationships, comes from miscommunication or poor communication. Anyone ever experienced that? You get into a little kerfuffle with somebody that you love and care about, and it completely changes your physiology? Yeah, so communication is huge, and that's something we actually train our patients on. And then, of course, lifestyle and impact. Who here wants to have a positive impact on this planet? Yeah. And in order to do that, you need to be vital. You need to be healthy. You need to be a contributing member of society, not a consuming member of society, right? If the powers that be have their way, you will be a consuming member of society, not a contributing member of society. Okay? I'm going to show you this because I want you to understand the power of the human mind. Has anyone ever seen this video before? A couple people? Okay, great. So you'll watch it again. How's it going? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. How's the Facebook feed? It's going good. Okay, so what I want you to notice, what do you guys notice so far? Can you guys hear me without a mic? Yeah, okay. So what I want you to notice is that as the frequency increases, not only does the shape change, but the complexity of the shape changes. Okay? And even a slight change in frequency completely changes the shape. They're not even close to each other, are they? Okay? So we'll keep going here. It's pretty cool, right? So what you can see from this is that as the shape gets more complex, the frequency gets higher, and it keeps going. So what can we conclude from this? What would happen if we kept increasing the frequency? The shape would get more and more complex, right? And as we increase complexity, we would also increase frequency. So let me ask you a question. What is the most complex structure in the universe? What is the most complex structure in the universe? The human mind. Right? So then what is vibrating at the highest frequency in the universe? Your human mind. Right? Your mind is powerful. It's much more powerful than you're given permission to think it is. How many of you have ever thought about somebody and you pick up the phone and they're calling you? Yeah. How many of you went to go type an email to somebody that you were thinking about and they emailed you first? That happens all the time, doesn't it? What do people say when that happens? Oh my God, that's crazy. I was just about to call you. Right? But what do you see what happened there? I said it was crazy. When you take something that you are capable of doing and you identify it and label it as crazy, will you ever develop it as a skill? So my wife calls me 8 out of 10 times. When I think of her, I actually tell her to call me up here, she will call me. And when she says, "What are you doing?" I tell her, "I was asking you to call me." Okay? One time I was telling this story to a group of my colleagues on stage, and she called me while I was on stage. So I actually took the phone call to tell her that. Okay? So here's a challenge that I have for all of you. Because when you're randomly thinking about somebody, it's not random. They're thinking of you as well. Do you guys ever remember in the 80s, they had those Time magazine articles and they talked about ESP and stuff like that? Do you remember that? How come you don't see that anymore? But you have this capability. So my son and I are working on developing this communication system with each other. Moms, you already have this with your kids, right? You already know that you have this capability. So one of the things that I do is I tell my clients, I tell my patients, well, not my patients, but the clients I coach, I tell them that anytime you think of somebody, now it's a race to get to them first. Because when you get to them first, and they don't know that this capability exists, they're going to be like, oh my God, it's crazy, and you can sell them whatever you want. Okay? Because to them, it's a sign from God, right? It's serendipitous. Okay? So this is a very powerful skill set. Your mind is powerful. So I want you to write down a few words that I never want you to use again. Because words matter, right? Because words are what? Vibration. So when I say certain words, I can organize matter. I just proved to you that vibration creates structure, right? So how many of you use the word incredible? What's the opposite of incredible? Credible. Right? So when you say, oh my God, you got to go see my amazing functional medicine doctor, he's incredible, you're saying the opposite. Okay? So use words like amazing instead, right? Or awesome, or fantastic. Be very intentional with the words that you use. Another word that comes to mind is unbelievable. So these are what I call vomit words, right? So when I hear people say these words, I have a little mini hiccup of vomit going on because I know that that person is unaware of the language that they're using. They're unconscious. Okay? So next time somebody says, oh my God, you got to go see this guy, he's unbelievable, or you got to go see her, she's unbelievable, they're actually saying the opposite of what they're trying to say. Okay, remember, English is a slave language. Right? Your mind becomes a slave of it if you don't pay attention. Okay? In sales, there's a funny thing that we do. So whenever you go to a website and it says buy now, right? Anyone ever seen that on a website where it says buy now? Buy now. Right? So if I'm ever auditing somebody's website and it says buy now, I say, no, change that to purchase now or order now, not buy now. Right? The word buy has 3 different meanings, 3 different spellings. The word seize has 4 different spellings and 4 different meanings. Okay, so be very intentional with how you vibrate in this universe. All right, let's talk about how to take fewer supplements. Who wants to take less supplements? I think everybody, right? Nobody ever comes to us and says, I want to take more supplements. People have a garbage bag full of stuff that they're taking. And they don't know why. They don't know if it's working or not. So we're going to talk about how to take fewer supplements because that's ultimately our intention. You know, I don't know if my rep is watching this, but he came to me earlier this year and he's like, you guys sold less supplements last year or this year than last year. And I'm like, dude, that's amazing. So he was trying to egg me on. He's like, you guys need to sell more supplements. I'm like, no, dude, that's totally awesome. I'm totally okay with that. Right? That means I'm doing what my intention is to do. Okay? You know, most supplement companies are owned by pharmaceutical companies. Just FYI. All right, so here's how you take fewer supplements. Spend time in nature. Okay, did you know that a person who smokes cigarettes gets more fresh air than a person who works in their office all day? Is that true or true? Okay, get some fresh air. I'll give you a crazy story yesterday. So I went on a hike. I went on a hike in the morning, and it was kind of my meditation. And then I found some amazing mushrooms. So my wife and I took my wife on a hike again. I'm like, you got to go check this out. And so most of us think that for us to get work done, we have to be grinding away in front of our computers, right? That's kind of the mentality. And I kind of have that mentality sometimes too. So we went on a hike and we met a gentleman. I don't think he's here, but his name's John. And we started talking. We just started having a casual conversation. And I was talking about I'm super passionate about this stuff, as you can tell. We started talking and he's like, you know what? I'm from the news. Here's my card. I would love to connect with you. All right. So one of my objectives is to get this in front of more people. And so how many in a million years, I would have never been able to connect with him on my computer. But there he was in the woods waiting for me. Right? So, and my wife was there. She's my witness. It was just phenomenal. And then he recommended this amazing restaurant called Piatto here in Mississauga, where it's all like the menu is loaded with mushroom recipes. Okay, so if you like mushrooms and you like Italian food, that's where we ended up last night. Amazing food, Piatto. So spend time in nature, get fresh air, and get sunlight. Okay, I don't know if they're geoengineering the weather these days, but I don't know where the sun went. Right, I'm just happy if I can see the blue sky nowadays. Right, I'm like, oh, there's the sky. I didn't even care if I could see the sun at one point. Right, so make sure you're getting outside. I mean, you're still going to get vitamin D. Expose yourself. The weather's not that bad. Make sure you're trying to get as much sunlight exposure. If you don't have sunlight access or you can't get to it, then get a vitamin D lamp. Okay, you can buy lamps online, but at least get some fresh air every day. Okay, spend some time in nature. It teaches us a lot. Go to bed before 10 p.m. So one of the first things that we do with our patients is the absolute first thing we need them to do is sleep well. If you're not sleeping, you're not healing. Okay? Now, what's really interesting is that there's a few things that can move the needle very quickly for you. They don't cost you anything, but they're difficult for people to do. They come up with all kinds of excuses. So the first thing you need to do is sleep early. Okay, get rest. What's happening right now in nature? Nature's resting, isn't it? Isn't nature cyclical? Sometimes the days are longer, sometimes the days are shorter, sometimes animals are hibernating, sometimes they're very active. So why is it that most people right now are trying to start an intense exercise program on January 1st in the middle of winter when the rest of nature is resting? Is there a reason people get hurt and fail at their weight loss goals? It's because they're not listening to their own biology. They're not observing what nature is doing. If you saw a leaf growing on a tree, would you think that was foolish in the middle of winter? Of course. Right? So this is the thing. Again, if you don't pay attention, you're going to be a victim of all the marketing. So none of my patients are doing intense exercise programs right now. And guess what? They're all losing weight. Because this is the time where you should be resting and recovering and regenerating just like Mother Nature is. Okay? If you do like to exercise, make sure the sun is up first. Because when you go to the gym, you're exposing yourself to artificial blue light. And I think we talk about that today. Manage your stress better or eliminate it. Most people's stress comes from work. And some of our best case studies from patients are people who quit their job. I had a lady, Janice, I still remember this, maybe she's watching at home, and she came to see me, all kinds of issues, severe low back pain, seeing a chiropractor, acupuncturist, massage therapist. I said, Janice, you need to quit your job. Quit her job. In a week, her pain was completely gone. Okay? So sometimes that's what people need to do, okay, is quit their job. Or do something that's more purpose-driven and meaningful. Do not micromanage your symptoms. Okay, so some people they'll take something for sleep, and then they'll take something for energy, and then they'll take something for focus. It's because they're not doing the foundational things they need to be doing. So if we can sleep better, if we can eat less, so here's the three things that work really, really well. Don't eat anything, don't do anything, and don't say anything. Okay, so if you can meditate in silence, if you can learn how to fast, either intermittent fasting or fasting mimicking diets, and you can sleep better, you will heal like nobody else. But most people don't do that. They want to take expensive supplements. They want to do all kinds of testing. They want to go and complain to their doctor, who's not going to tell them any of this stuff. Right? But this is all free. Actually saves you money. Not eating saves you money, right? Not having the lights on all night saves you money, right? So focus on the big picture. Change the lighting in your home. So in the evening, if you have lighting that's coming from above and it's full spectrum light, what does your brain think that the time of day is? Think it's daytime. Right? So the way your brain is smart, the way it sees shadows and the spectrum of light that it's exposed to changes what time your brain thinks it is, right? Animals in nature, they don't wear watches, do they? They go off the sun. They go off sunlight, okay? So the average human gets about 2.5 hours of less sleep than we used to before the light bulb was invented. So changing the light bulbs in your home means a couple of things. One, use lamps in the evening. And you want to change your bulbs to 2700 Kelvin light bulbs. So these are going to be more orangish in color, as opposed to being full spectrum. So if you ever drive by a condo, this is like a fun exercise, just watch what color people's apartments are lit up as. If you see the ones that are like white, bluish white, that person's sleep sucks. That person's going to get sick very soon. If you see that it's an orange color, that person is going to probably have a better sleep. Okay, so simple things like that can make a big difference. Change the lighting in your home. Ideally, you want to use a tungsten bulb. So the bulbs that we all grew up using, those are much better than the LED bulbs. LED bulbs suck, don't they? They like blow out like every 5 minutes, it seems like. But change the lighting in your home. A study that was done found that there was a 40% decrease in melatonin production when you had full white light exposure or blue light exposure. When you're exposed to candlelight or fire or moonlight, only a 2% decrease occurred. Melatonin is your most important immune modulating hormone. It's not just for sleep, it modulates your entire immune system. Okay, so simple change like this, very passive, can make a huge difference. So I don't see everyone taking notes unless you have amazing memories, better than me. 2700 Kelvin light bulbs. Slow down when you eat. So we have lots of people that come and see us and they have chronic digestive issues. They've seen the best doctors, taken the best supplements, done the right testing, eating healthy organic foods, and they're like scratching their heads. They're like, how come I'm not better? And then we look at what they're eating. We're like, okay, you're eating right, but how are you eating? How many of you eat too quickly? Raise your hands. Be honest. Most people do. So chewing your food is extremely vital, not just because it helps you digest it better, but it signals to your brain that food is coming. When we taste our food, we have taste buds for a reason, not just for pleasure, but the taste buds tell our brain to tell our digestive organs what type of enzymes need to be produced in order to digest that food. That's why artificial flavors and artificial ingredients aren't digested the same way. So if you use artificial sugar and your brain thinks that sugar is coming, but then the sugar doesn't show up, what's going to happen to your blood sugar? It's going to drop. And guess what you're going to feel? You're going to feel hungry. And guess what? You're going to eat more food. So artificial flavors, artificial even colors trick the brain into thinking that something that is coming and it doesn't show up. Okay? You see how simple this stuff is? It's not rocket science. You just have to be aware of these things. So when it comes to your food, I'm gonna show you a little diagram in a second. Get rid of toxic products in your home. So, toxic cleaning products, detergents like Tide, all that kind of stuff. If you can smell a chemical on your clothing, that chemical's in your clothing. If you can smell a chemical, you're inhaling it, it's getting into your bloodstream. Okay, so plain and simple, use natural cleaning products in your home. Get tested to know what you need. Sometimes people do need to get tested. Sometimes people have stealth infections, they have chronic things that need to be taken care of, and you can then take what you need in the amount that you need it. But if you don't get tested, you may be guessing. All right, where to shop and save time and money. So a couple things that you can do. One is to shop locally. Okay, support your local businesses, your local organizations, and it saves you time because you're traveling and connecting with people locally. Eat organic when possible. And here's the thing with organic. When they do studies on organic, they find that organic food is more nutrient rich, right? So if food is a delivery system for information and for nutrients, then what do we care about? We care about how much nutrient content it has, not how many calories it has. Okay, we care about the nutritional value. and the synergistic value of that nutrition. So eating organic makes a big difference. And my wife went into the store and she was getting into, like, we buy all organic as much as we can. And the cashier was like, oh, you believe in organic? As if it's a religion. Right? If you can find a farmer's market close to you, then support your local farmers. Have conversations. You should know where your food is coming from. Okay, I'm personally vegetarian, but you should know where your meat's coming from if you eat meat. You should know how these animals are raised, how they're treated, because there's a vibrational energy in this food. I'm so sorry. Swap stores. So we find that Costco has a lot of great options, organic options, believe it or not. Even No Frills, this was a shock to me. My wife does all the shopping, and she's like, did you know that No Frills has a lot of organic options, and even more than Whole Foods, actually? I was floored because, just from perception, you would never think that. Okay, so that was a big revelation for us just recently. Grow your own food or herbs. So sometimes, you can grow your own herbs or like medicine. So you can grow your own basil and cilantro. If you have a garden, you can grow these things in the summer months, but you can also grow them indoors. You can buy little herb garden kits and grow them and put fresh herbs into your food every day. And then if you're looking for more specialty items, then you can go to naturamarket.ca, and this is where you'll find some of those hard to find items that you may not find elsewhere. Okay, we used to live in the U.S. and we travel there quite a bit, so there's a very huge selection in the U.S. compared to what we have available here. So there's certain specialty items that you can get from naturamarket.ca. And plan in advance. So instead of making one monthly trip to the grocery store, plan to go every few days, right? Plan to go every week, but plan your schedule so you know what you need to get, because the perishable items will go bad. Right? The lettuce will go bad, the vegetables will go bad, and then it becomes wasteful. Have you noticed that there's less and less perishable items in the grocery store now? Yes. Like that section just keeps shrinking, right? And it's more boxed and packaged stuff now. And the reason for that is because that stuff doesn't go bad. It has a 2-year, 3-year shelf life. Okay, so, plan in advance, don't overspend, and eat out less frequently. So, that's another way to save some time and money, of course. I mean, celebrate though. Okay, so we're not saying don't celebrate. So yesterday, my wife and I went out for that lovely dinner and we were celebrating. We're celebrating this event. We were celebrating a new year. We're celebrating some of our successes. So it's okay to go out and celebrate, but don't make it a habit. Okay, and that'll save you a lot of money. Our meal came out. We didn't drink and we didn't have any meat, and it was $100 for that meal. I mean, I'm a generous tipper too, but it was $100 for that meal. We're like scratching ourselves. I'm like, man, we could have bought a lot of mushrooms with that $100. Another way to save money is intermittent fasting. So another lie that we've been told is that you've got to have this like monster breakfast every morning, right? Who told us that? The breakfast industry. Right? And what do? They tell us to eat like these sugary foods. A bagel has like 55 grams of carbohydrates in it? 55 grams. So intermittent fasting is where you eat during an 8-hour window and you don't eat during a 16-hour window. So if you have dinner in the evening, not in the morning, but if you have dinner in the evening, don't eat until lunch the next day. Really simple, right? One of the things that we recommend to our patients is having this King coffee that you just had. Was the coffee delicious? Yes. Yeah, so that coffee actually has reishi mushroom in it. We're going to talk about that in a second. But we have our patients do that and upgrade their software. Another thing that you can do is eat every other day. This is more advanced, okay? But you can eat every other day, and now your food bill is cut in half. And then every month, you can do a 5-day fasting mimicking diet. So there's a book called The Longevity Diet by Walter Longo. He's probably going to win a Nobel Prize for this work. They spent about $40 million of grant money to discover this amazing dietary protocol where you eat about 700 to 1,100 calories for 5 days, and it mimics all the benefits of not eating for 5 days. And so it reverses autoimmune conditions, it reverses diabetes, it reverses all kinds of, just nasty health issues. And there's a whole kit that you can get, or you can make the recipes yourself. Okay? So for 5 days, you're eating calorie restricted every month, and that can save you some money. But more importantly, all of these things have scientific evidence to show that it improves your health. Okay? So people say being healthy is expensive. It's actually not. It's cheaper if you know what you're doing. Right? If your version of health is to like beat your body up and then take expensive supplements and not follow simple principles of nature, yeah, that can get expensive, but you're also doing it wrong. When you do it right, being healthy is very inexpensive. I'm Indian, I'm cheap, so I know. Okay? All right, essential tools for a healthy home. Has anyone here used Feng Shui in their home? Okay, write this down. Of course, our team in the back there. So Feng Shui is an ancient principle, comes from the East. In Hindu culture, they call it Vastu Shastra, which is energetically arranging the space in your home. And I've written an article about this on how you can improve the energetic flow in your home by rearranging the furniture, by using certain colors, certain stones, and certain artwork in different areas of your house. Okay? Write this down. It's called a Bagua map. So B-A-G-U-A. Bagua map, just Google it, and you can find out a little bit more about that. But Feng Shui is how you would arrange your office, your bedroom, your home, and keep it healthy. Okay? You have to be in a healthy environment to expect good health. Another thing you can buy is a Berkey water filter. Okay, so a Berkey water filter has been tested over and over again to be one of the best water filtration systems on the planet. Okay, so that's what we use in our house. You can also get blue blocking glasses. Do you have your glasses here, babe? And you might see people wearing these. These are glasses that have an orange lens in them. In fact, my glasses, if you look closely, have a slight orange tint to them. And that keeps out the blue light because I use my computer quite a bit. So blue blocking glasses are something you can wear if you like watching TV in the evening but don't want to disrupt your circadian rhythm, then you can wear glasses like this. So she's going to model them for us because I know that's going to...
These are the daytime ones. So the evening ones have a more yellow tint to them. But these, if you're in an office that has like really white light, LED lighting, these are good to wear during the daytime. And then there's more yellow ones for the evening time.
Oh, you didn't bring the other ones? Oh, okay. And then you can also have a Wi-Fi timer. So you can go to Home Depot and buy a timer that turns your lights off automatically, and automatically your Wi-Fi router will turn on and off during the evening when you're sleeping, and it'll turn back on in the morning when you wake up. Okay, so just like a Christmas tree timer, like it's nothing fancy, but you just plug your Wi-Fi into it, so now it turns off automatically. You don't have to think about it. Okay, so that's a simple tip that you can use. And when possible, hardwire your computer. So instead of using Wi-Fi, see if you can actually plug your computer in. Okay, and there's ways that you can do that. Preferentially, if you're in the market for a new mattress, get an organic mattress that doesn't have all these chemicals and fire retardants in it. Because you spend about a third of your life, if you're doing it right, you spend about a third of your life in bed. And the last thing we need is you inhaling toxic fumes that come off as a product of these mattresses. Another thing you can get is a grounding mat. Has anyone here heard of grounding? People familiar with that term? Who here has a grounding mat? No? Okay, so this is a mat that you can use. And what it does, so grounding is getting on the earth barefoot. Okay, so that barefoot connection with earth is super important. So this mat, actually, it's from my desk at home, and you can see the little button on the side there that plugs into the grounding outlet in your house. So it's the equivalent of me being outside barefoot in the grass. Okay? You can also get a grounding throw. So in our bed, we have a little sheet that plugs into the wall, into the grounding outlet, so it's as if we're sleeping outside. Not quite the same, but you know what I mean, right? So electrically, it grounds us. Okay, you're an electrical being. And so we're the only species. When's the last time any of you went barefoot in the grass? Right? It's hard to do it in the winter, right? And even in the summer, it's not something that we're doing often. So when you go to the beach and you're barefoot on the beach, doesn't that feel good? Yeah, it's because there's an electrical exchange that's taking place. Okay? And so you can recreate that with these devices. And they're not expensive, and they're just a one-time investment. Anyone here use a squatty potty? Okay, so the majority of us use the bathroom incorrectly. We sit on the toilet and we put our pelvis in the wrong position to actually go to the bathroom. So a squatty potty is basically, imagine putting your feet up on a couple of paint cans. So you actually put yourself into a squatting position. And so what that does is it tilts your pelvis back in the correct anatomical position so you don't have to strain when you go to the bathroom. When people strain when they go to the bathroom, they actually send pressure back the other way, and that creates something called bacterial overgrowth in the small intestine. So anyone here have bloating? You don't have to raise your hands, but if anyone here has bloating or they feel like really full after they eat, it's usually because they have bacterial overgrowth in their small intestine. So one of the first things that you can do, hopefully you're going to the bathroom every day, you don't have to buy it, but you can just get a little stool to put your feet on so your pelvis goes in the right position. Okay? I think they sell squatty potties at Costco, but they're like pretty inexpensive. You can buy one and it just tucks underneath your toilet. Bed Bath & Beyond has them too. Okay? And then, infrared sauna. This is a little bit more advanced, but you can get an infrared sauna. There's portable units. Andrew has one. Ricky has a portable unit at home. I've got the big one, in our house. But infrared saunas are great for detoxification. It's great to kind of clean you out from the inside and sweat out some of the toxins that you have. Like I said earlier, 2,700 Kelvin light bulbs in your home, okay, and lamps. So the infrared sauna, so most of us are used to like a stone sauna where you pour water onto it, right? Or you're heating people up from the outside and you can only tolerate so much. An infrared sauna heats you up from the inside. So you get a much deeper sweat and detoxification. Okay, so it's called an infrared sauna. Of course, you want to have the essentials in your home like a juicer and a blender. A good thing to juice in the morning is celery juice. Okay, so celery juice is excellent at increasing stomach acid production, and it's very low in calories, so it kind of keeps you in that fasting state. You can also make sure you get a good blender. So a Vitamix or a Blendtec, those are good blenders that you can get. And then a rebounder. Does anyone here have a rebounder? All right. That's why I saw you guys like getting a nice hop. So a rebounder is a mini trampoline. And what a mini trampoline does, if you just spend a few minutes on it, put on your favorite song, bounce up and down on it. And what that does is it takes a lot of pressure off of your joints, but what it does is it promotes your lymphatic system to drain. Does anyone know what the lymphatic system is? A few of you? Okay, so surrounding every cell in your entire body, you have three structures. You have a blood vessel that delivers nutrients, you have a lymphatic vessel that removes waste, and you have a nerve fiber that sends a message. So the lymphatic system is the waste and the sewage system of our body. The average person has about 5 liters of blood in their body. The average person produces 12 liters of lymph per day. So you produce 12 liters of sewage from cell activity every single day. And when you sit for prolonged periods of time, that sewage doesn't move. Okay, so if you at the end of the day, if your feet are all swollen and your ankles are all swollen and you have lines around your calves from your socks, it's because your lymph wasn't moving. The only way lymph moves is by using your muscles. So getting on a rebounder, it's going to move all this lymph in your body. Virtually all disease starts in the lymph. So what is lymphoma? Right? It's a disease of the lymph. Right? So when we can't remove waste products, imagine like your garbage not getting removed for weeks and weeks and weeks. Imagine not flushing the toilet day after day after day. So we need to get rid of that waste. So that's the way our body does that. Through movement, our body does that. So if you're sitting for prolonged periods of time, then that's a problem. So get up and move around, but a rebounder is a great way to do that. Okay, and just a few minutes on the rebounder makes a big difference. You can also get something called a Hot Logic Mini. And so this is like a little, did you bring that, Deeps? No? Okay. So instead of using a microwave, which nukes your food, you can use a Hot Logic. It's a little heating plate. Okay. It looks like a little lunch pail that you plug into the wall, and it heats your food. So it doesn't overheat it or overcook it. And they're like $30, $40. You can get them on Amazon. It's called the Hot Logic Mini. Okay. Healthy cleaning and personal care products. So you should be using organic, natural products. If you wouldn't eat it, you shouldn't put it on your skin. Okay, that's the rule of thumb. Okay. And then steam cleaning. Steam cleaning is excellent because it's antibacterial. It kills like takes away a lot of, toxic chemicals from your home. So getting a good steam cleaner for your floors or furniture, stuff like that can be quite powerful. And then candles. So if you need a natural source of light in the evening, it's more romantic too. I'm not quite the romantic guy, but if you are, then candles are great, right? Even a fire is great. Okay, so now's a great time to light a fire because this doesn't decrease your melatonin production. And then essential oils and diffuser. Everyone here use essential oils, right? Okay, so you can diffuse something like lavender to help you relax in the evening. There's different blends out there that you can use. You can use things like peppermint to get you amped up and excited. You can use oils, which are natural plant derivatives, to help control the mood in your home. Okay, so if you ever come to my home, which some of you have been there, you'll notice that it has a nice, beautiful odor to it. And then you can also get an air doctor. An air doctor is an air purifier for your home. So if you live in a condo, that might be a good idea. If you have carpets or if you have pets in your home, then this is a great way to get some of that stuff out. Okay? Even if you have a HEPA filter in your furnace, that's usually not enough to get some of those smaller spaces. Okay? And then a sleep mask and blackout curtains. I made a spelling mistake there, but blackout curtains, you should not be able to see your hand in front of your face at night. Okay, so a sleep mask can help, or you can get blackout curtains for your room. Okay? Thanks, Jillian. Okay, let's talk about strategies for healthy weight loss. So a couple of them we already touched on, but one is to get a coach. If you want to be good at anything, right, the best people on the planet have coaches. I have 5 coaches. Okay, I have a business coach, I have a speaking coach, my wife's my coach, right? We have relationship coaches. Like I have coaches because I want to be the best at what I do. And I want you to be the best at what you do. So getting a coach makes a big difference because that person is not going to candy coat things for you. That person is going to hold you accountable as well. It's super important. And the coach doesn't have to be us. It could be somebody else. But somebody holding you accountable makes a big difference. We talked about intermittent fasting. So when our patients want to drop some weight, even I don't eat breakfast in the morning. So it's not just for weight loss. It's for good health. Intermittent fasting is huge. What that means really simply is you can have a cup of coffee or tea in the morning, celery juice in the morning, but not eat anything. Okay, and then have a healthy lunch and then have a lighter dinner. Okay, make a big difference. Your energy will be so much better, digestion will be better, everything will be better. Calorie restriction. So every study done shows that people who eat less live longer. When they do calorie restriction on mice, they live 20% longer. So 20%, if the average person lives until about 80, let's say, then living 20% longer means you'll live till 96. So make sure your retirement funds are in the right place, right? I get a good laugh out of this because people are like, oh, being healthy is expensive. Well, living longer is expensive too. So the cheapest thing to do is die, if that's what you're worried about, right? You want to sleep like your life depends on it because it does. Okay, so people who don't sleep well, they're not going to lose weight because when you don't sleep well, what are you doing? Like people are not like, when somebody goes to bed at 12 o'clock, they're not meditating from 10 o'clock at night to 12 midnight, right? They're usually watching the news or they're doing something stressful, something that's disruptive to their body. So you want to focus on sleep. Be in bed as often as you can by 10 p.m. If you can. And then choose, chew, chill, cherish, check. So this is important for digestion and this is important for weight loss. You want to choose the right foods. You want to chew those foods very, very thoroughly. Okay, if most people are honest with themselves, they don't chew their food enough. When you eat plants, for example, if you don't chew the plant properly, you don't even break open the cell wall. All that nutrition goes right through you. So you can do the salad challenge where you just swallow a salad and you'll poop a salad the next day because you don't have the enzymes to actually break open the cell wall. This is biology 101. Okay, so you have teeth for a reason. Your stomach doesn't have teeth. It has enzymes, but it doesn't have teeth. So the physical process of digestion is through chewing and also tasting that food. And then you got to chill. You got to be relaxed when you're eating, right? So if I'm eating my food and I'm digesting that food, where do I want the blood to go? I want it to go to my stomach. But if I'm stressed out, where is blood going? Everywhere else. It's going to my arms and legs, right? And then follow Mother Nature's flow. So what is Mother Nature doing right now? Resting. This is when you should be resting. What is the weight loss industry telling you to do right now? Exercise, right? Your butt off. This is when people get hurt. This is why people fail. I used to work in a gym, so I know how this system works, okay? Exercise when the sun is up, if at all, and then reset your circadian rhythm. So there's a protocol that we do for this. If some of you are just like your sleep is a hot mess, then come and talk to one of us afterwards and we can give you a really simple protocol that can help you. And then balance blood sugar. So one of the things, I didn't have a chance to pick it up today from the office, but one of the things we'll have our patients do is wear a blood sugar monitor. So you can actually buy it online. It's called a Freestyle Libre. So Freestyle Libre, Libre, and you can put it on and every 15 minutes it collects your blood sugar. And then you have a little sensor and it can track it for you. So even if you don't have, diabetes, you can kind of track what's going on with your blood sugar. If your blood sugar looks like this, that's good. If your blood sugar is doing this throughout the day, that's not good. So if you want to get clued into your insulin production, that's a good way to do it. All right. Do you guys want these slides? Yes. Okay. So we'll make sure we get the slides to everyone, okay? Okay, now let's talk about that delicious cup of coffee you had. So how many of you drink coffee here? Pretty much everyone, right? Who doesn't drink coffee? Do you drink tea? Yes. Okay, so some of you drink green tea, right? Or maybe black tea. So we're going to talk about one of the most powerful, most researched, plants, or not even a plant, it's a fungus on the entire planet. Okay, and all of you who drank coffee today just consumed mushrooms, but a particular mushroom called reishi. So we find that the majority of our patients love coffee. So we tell them to go dairy-free. Okay, I can do that. We tell them to go gluten-free. Okay, no problem. Cut out your coffee. They're like, no, I can't do it. Right? So it's a habit. And for some people, it's a bad habit, but we're going to turn that into a ritual. We're going to turn it into a ceremony of self-love. Okay? So coffee is something that it's actually the second most traded commodity on the entire planet, next to oil. Think about that. It's amazing, right? And so everyone drinks it. A lot of people drink coffee in the morning, but the coffee that most people are drinking is loaded with pesticides. So pound for a pound of coffee, they use a pound of pesticides. Okay, so the coffee you had today is organic, right? No pesticides, no herbicides, none of that stuff that's used on it. What you also had in that coffee is organic reishi mushroom, which is grown in China 185 miles away from all civilization. So these are grown in sacred mountains in China. So you had a very special elixir this morning, actually. And so we've combined these two things. We've combined something that people do on a daily basis, and we've added the potency of one of the most researched mushrooms on the entire planet into it. Okay? So some of you might feel more alert. Some of you might feel a little bit more clarity. Anyone here feel different after drinking that coffee that cares to share? Do you care to share? Calms you down, right? Most coffee makes you jittery. I had a friend of mine come over, and he came to our house as a Christmas party. He had a couple of drinks, and we gave him coffee before he head home, and he instantly sobered up. Because reishi is great at supporting the liver, and I'll show you why in just a second. But also, when he drinks coffee, he sweats like crazy. He gets really jittery and anxious, and this coffee didn't do that for him because it has the medicinal reishi in it. So these are the benefits of reishi mushroom. Okay, it gives you relief from chronic respiratory issues, helps increase lung capacity, prevents abnormal blood vessel formation, which is essentially cancer, right? So cancer needs a strong blood supply. It needs an abnormally large blood supply, and this prevents that. Reduces the risk of cognitive disorders. So reishi can actually cross the blood-brain barrier and deplaque the brain from Alzheimer's plaques. Okay, and this is all researched and evidenced. It helps prevent and treat cancer. It strengthens the immune system. Okay, so all of you are going to have stronger immune systems after today. It lowers your bad cholesterol. It prevents allergic reactions. It boosts cognitive development. It's effective in treating arthritis or gout, detoxifies the body and boosts energy, and reduces the risk of chronic disease and premature aging. Okay, so imagine your coffee being able to do that for you every day. Right? And if you were to drink this continuously over a period of time, you would start to see some dramatic changes in your health. Do you have a question? Yep.
For our kids, is there a way they also don't drink coffee? Is there a way that they could benefit from?
Yeah, I'm going to show you some case studies. Yeah. So these are the benefits of reishi. Okay, now check this out. So this is a patient, a client of ours, and one of the concerns with coffee is mold, right? So mycotoxins in coffee. And so she loves her healthy coffee, which is the one you drank today with the lucid in it. She started off, her mold count was at 13,000 in her body. Okay, and after drinking this coffee, it detoxified her, and now it's at 1,100. Most of us are exposed to mold. You just don't know it. Okay, you're exposed to mold. These vents in here, do you think they have mold in them? Probably. The vents in your office, most likely. And mold can be a contributor to chronic illness for people. Here's a lady who's on one of our teams, and she had a wart on her foot that was there forever. We've also combined this product into soap, so you can buy mushroom soap, believe it or not. And after 3 days of using the spores and a few weeks of using the soap, her wart fell off. Okay, but what also happened is her family members used a hot chocolate. So to answer your question, they also make a hot chocolate with the reishi in it, which tastes amazing, by the way. And her son, or their children with their ADD, is off all their meds now. Okay, I have another story that will blow your mind in just a second. So this is a very simple change that people can make. It's cheaper than what you're drinking at Tim Hortons and Starbucks. It's way better for you. It's very convenient. You can carry it in little sachets, so you can always have it in your purse. All you need is water. It doesn't even have to be hot water. It's already pre-brewed. Okay, so super simple for you to do. And you get so many benefits. This person's been drinking the black coffee. This is actually a friend of mine. And I gave away coffee at a Christmas party. And so she started drinking it, and she came back a week later, and she's had chronic swelling in her ankles. Nothing has been able to help. After drinking coffee for 5 days, her ankle swelling and pain disappeared. And she also lost 5 pounds.
Sorry, did I read it? Hashimoto's as well?
Oh, yeah, because it's an immunomodulator. So Hashimoto's, he's asking, does it help with Hashimoto's? Hashimoto's is an autoimmune condition of your thyroid. So if you have a thyroid disorder, 90% of the time, it's actually due to autoimmunity. And so reishi modulates and balances the immune system. So it stops that attack. Yep. And then here's stories of people with their cognitive function increasing. Better clarity, better thinking, better mindset, all those things. And then here's another person. This person, their sugars were in the 19s to 20s. And after drinking reishi coffee for 3 weeks, it's now at 8. Okay, the next step from their doctor was insulin. So all they had to do was switch their coffee. Save money and get healthier. How about that? Right? Pretty convenient. And here's a great one. This one blew my mind. And Andrew was kind enough to share this. So to answer your question about the hot chocolate. So one of the doctors that I train in the States, his son has a stuttering issue. And if he wasn't standing here in front of us, he wouldn't be able to breathe and talk at the same time. That's how significant his challenges are. And so after drinking 4 cups of hot chocolate, his stuttering went away. Like completely disappeared. Okay, so you can only imagine, like I know what I would spend. I would spend whatever I had to try to fix that for my son. $6 cost to fix it. Okay, so it doesn't always have to be radically expensive to fix these things. Here's an interesting picture of a mountain erupting, and you can see this mushroom cloud, right? So usually mushrooms, when they grow, they don't grow, they explode because there's just like so much power in them, okay? And nature represents itself in so many interesting ways. So remember I told you in the beginning, you're part of nature, right? So there's this framework that we see everywhere. So if you look outside, you're going to see the same framework. So here's what brain cells look like. Here's what mycelium looks like, which is the root network of mushrooms that wraps around this entire planet. Here's what plant roots look like. Here's what tree roots look like. Here's what social networks look like. Here's what the entire dark matter in the universe looks like. Do you see a pattern? This pattern is woven inside of you. Okay? This is why processed food, do you think processed food has this branching architecture to it? Do you think artificial vitamins and minerals have this type of architecture to it if you looked at them under a microscope? No, because they violate the laws, they violate the mathematical principles of nature. Do you think drugs look like this under a microscope? That's why they don't work. That's why they kill you. That's why plants and things that occur in nature heal you, because they use the same architecture that your body's built off of. If you look at the blood vessels in your brain, if you look at the way your lungs look, if you look at the way your liver looks, all of these things have the same structure to it. Does that make sense? Okay. Here's what reishi looks like. It's a beautiful polypore mushroom. That looks almost identical to your liver. If you turn it on its side, it looks almost identical to your kidneys. If you look at it from this perspective, it looks almost identical to your brain. There isn't a single organ in your body that doesn't look like a mushroom. Because if you look at mushrooms and you look at if you look at the kingdom they belong to a kingdom called Apaislacanthus. And that kingdom includes human beings and animals and fungi. So we actually originate from mushrooms. You're a walking mushroom. I kid you not. Okay, so you share 50% of your genetic information with fungi. That's why they're so powerful. That's why a cup of coffee can change your life in such a powerful way, because it has the coding and this information built into it. Okay, so this is some like mind-blowing stuff, but and I usually spend an hour and a half explaining this to people, but does this make sense to everyone? You start to see the connection here? Okay, so let's talk about how to create lasting and permanent change, and then we'll wrap things up in a second. So you got to write down your goals, guys. Okay, this is super, super important. You got to write things down. There's something magical that happens when you write things down. So I started the first day of my year, I wrote in my journal. I always have a journal with your logo on it, so it's way cooler. So I started my year with writing down 2018 in review. I had one of the best years of my life. So everything I worked my butt off came true in this last year. Okay, and so I had an amazing year. I wrote it all down, and I wrote down a preview of 2019. One of my things I want to do is I want to travel more and speak more. So I wrote that down, opened up my email right afterwards, and I got invited to speak. So I'll be speaking in North Carolina, and I'll be speaking about medicinal mushrooms and also practice management. Okay, so when you write things down, there's something magical that happens. I don't have an explanation for it, I just know it works. Okay, so I'm not God, I'm not here to tell you how things work. I'm just here to tell you what works. So very, very powerful thing, write things down, right? And review them daily. So if there's something you're trying to create in your life, write it down. Be honest and be kind to yourself. So don't be delusional, but don't be mean either. Okay? Be honest with yourself and meet yourself where you're at and just take a step forward. Like I said, the first thing I said today is meet yourself where you are and just nudge yourself in the right direction. Okay? Don't try to do everything we talked about today. And know exactly what you want, but also why you want it. What does that goal represent to you? If you want a nice house, what does that represent to you? If you want a nice car, what does that represent? Right? What are the things that have to be in place in order for that to happen? Okay, so I'll be totally honest and transparent. One of my goals is to have a supercar, but I'm not going to do that until I build my hospital and build my orphanage. And guess what? I've already done those two things. Right? So it's on the bottom of the list, it's on the top of the list. Right? So I give first and then I receive. And that's a universal principle in nature. So know exactly what you want and why you want it and what does it represent. Okay, what does it represent to you? It has to mean something to you. Share your goals with others who will support you. Okay, so the people that doubt you, use them as fuel, right? Just burn them up like fuel. But the people that support you, put them in the passenger seat. Okay, you have to have support in order for you to hit your goals. Like I have a whole team that supports this vision and this mission. It's not just me, okay? And I burn up people that don't support it. Get rid of people in your life that have worn out their welcome. Okay, and there's probably a lot of people in some of your lives that have worn out their welcome. Okay, and you got to get rid of them. That's the key. You have to protect yourself. You have to protect your vision. You have to protect your mission. You have to protect your health. So get rid of these people. They're not serving you anymore. And be relentless. Okay? Find balance between patience and persistence. So it's okay to be persistent, but you have to be patient at the same time. Like you can't just plant the seed and expect the fruit. Right? You have to be patient, but you have to persistently water it and nurture it and take care of it. Okay? Be accountable. Find a mentor who's a few steps ahead. I usually suggest having two mentors. Somebody who's just a few steps ahead of you and somebody who's already at the top of the mountain. Because then you know it's possible. Okay, so find people who are already doing what you're doing or have what you want, because they're going to show you the fastest way to get it. Okay? So is it important that your doctor is healthy?
Yes.
All right, remember that story with Gandhi, right? You got to be living proof. You got to tell people, you can only tell people to do the things that you yourself are doing, right? And showing is better than knowing. And find your tribe, right? So everyone in this room, all 80 or 100 of you that are here, all of you are here for growth. You're here for expansion. You're here to improve yourself. You're here to improve the life of other people around you. You're here to make 2019 the best year ever. So this is your tribe right here. I don't know what it's like when you go back to work on Monday morning, or I don't know what it's like when you go to your church tomorrow or your temple or wherever it is that you go, but you have to find people that are on the same journey as you. Okay? And there are going to be people that don't want to be on that journey, and that's okay. Right? It's like a bus. If that bus is going somewhere and it's going somewhere I don't want to go, I don't have to get on it. Right? But I'll pay for the ticket for the person who's trying to sabotage me. Okay? So you got to really, really find your tribe and keep that sacred to yourself. I spoke in Guernsey 2 years ago. I spoke in Guernsey, and they invited all the world's experts to come and talk about longevity. So Guernsey is a small little island in the English Channel. They want to be the longest living country in the world. Okay, and so they just became a blue zone. So a blue zone is where people live longer than average, over 100 years, and their goal is to become a blue zone. And so they invited us to come and speak, and every single speaker talked about the power of community. Overarchingly, that was a message that came across, is how powerful your community is. And we live in a day and age where we're losing that community, aren't we? Right? I remember when we were young, we would go to our friend's house every weekend. We would be sleeping over all the time. We'd be hanging out like 2, 3 in the morning. But we don't do that anymore. Everyone's so busy these days. So having your community is super, super huge. And it's super critical. I'm not going to have time to go over this. Maybe we'll do this another time, because I'm sure I'll see most of you again. But autonomic pairing is super important. Knowing how your nervous system works is extremely vital. And one of my colleagues, who's not here today, Dr. Habib, wrote an entire book about this. Okay, so you can buy his book and it'll teach you more. But you have this fight or flight system, for most people, is overactive. Most people live in this constant state of fight or flight. This system on this side is operated by a nerve called the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve promotes a state of rest and digest and repair and regenerate and reproduce. So every one of you, all of your goals are on this side of the fence, okay? Every one of you wants to rest and digest and be healthier and have healthy reproduction, healthy sleep, all of those things. But most of us live here, okay? And so what happens is sometimes people will come to us and they'd be like, I want all these things, but they live here. And there's no supplements that you can take to fix that. That's all lifestyle. That's all mindset. That's all environment. That's all community. It's all the things we talked about today. The book is called Activate Your Vagus Nerve. Another important principle here is where you send flow is where you send function. So if I want to have better digestion, where do I have to send blood? To my digestive system. If I want to run faster, where do I send blood? To my legs, right? And my arms. So where you send blood is where you send function. But also the same blood goes everywhere. So if your blood is healing and regenerative, what does it do? It heals every organ in your body, heals every system in your body. If your blood is deficient, if your blood is toxic, what does it do? It destroys every organ in your body. So this idea that we have in healthcare that you can have an isolated disease and an isolated label, do you see how ridiculous that is? Do you see how stupid that is? Do you see how that's just mind control? And it makes no sense whatsoever, even in a you guys are an educated population, but even in an uneducated population, we can deconstruct the system and realize that it doesn't make any sense. And this is why we don't have cures, because we take the wrong approach, okay? And so a real short story with me, and then we'll wrap things up and we'll take some questions. But one of the things that I started off when I was at my master's university, I went there, I studied kinesiology. And I started working out when I got to university. So the first time I walked into the gym, I was probably like most of you. I look around and I'm like, what the hell is all this? Like, I don't know how to use any of this equipment. Right? Anyone ever feel that way the first time you went into the gym? Some of you have never been inside a gym. So I walk in there and I'm like, what the heck? Like, how do I use this equipment? So what did I do? I found the biggest guy in the gym and I started doing what he did. Okay? And some of you might do that, right? Some of you might find a person and you might emulate what they do. But what I realized shortly afterwards, a few months into my workout routine, because I was just following him, my shoulder started to hurt. And my shoulder started to hurt to the point where I couldn't even lift my arm. Okay, so at the time I didn't know what I know, and I went to the doctor. And the doctor said, okay, take some Advil before you go to work out. And of course I was stupid, right? And I had hair at the time, so, and it was all spiky and stuff. So, you know, I went to the gym, but before I went to the gym, I took Advil. And guess what? My pain went away, which was the worst thing that could happen. Because guess which exercises I kept doing? The same ones. Okay? And it wasn't until my third year of university when I literally couldn't lift my arm, I couldn't put my arm in my back pocket, and we were taking shoulder anatomy courses, I realized I was doing everything wrong. Okay, so sometimes we'll do what other people are doing thinking it's right for us. Sometimes we'll do things that mask our symptoms and mask our pain. Okay? But we have to find what's right for us. Okay? And so it wasn't until I took that proper training, I got the proper guidance, and I had my professor give me the rehabilitative exercises that I needed to do, that my shoulder got better. And it took 2 years for it to get better because I spent 3 years messing it up. Okay? And now I'm stronger than I was in college and university, and I have full mobility, which is beautiful, but it came with guidance. It came with finding the right help and not just doing what everyone else is doing, but finding out what was right for me. Everyone is different. Each and every one of you, you look different, your body shapes are different, you have different cultures, you have different diets, you have different upbringings. So each of you, we can dissect what's going to help you individually feel your best. Okay? But each and every one of you can follow some of the basic things that you learned today. Right? The things we talked about today are the foundational things that all of you should be doing to make this year healthy and make it amazing. But we also have additional tools that can help you go to a whole new level. Okay? And I'm not going to talk about those today because the intention of today was to really empower you, to give you tools and resources that you can use to start feeling better. But we do have an amazing team. We're happy to answer any questions that you have. And if working together is the right fit, then we're happy to evaluate that as well. Okay? So I did want to leave you with that short story, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have as well. But thank you for being here today.